And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. And who do we have here in the house? We've got Cricket Song of Lunar Wisdom. I'm so happy to have her. She's been like a great inspiration during when I was writing my fantasy novel, The High Priestess of Arak. Before I wrote the novel, I didn't even know about Wicca, about witchcraft. I knew about witches, just as a mythological figure, but I didn't know about that there are real witches and that Wicca exists. And I didn't know none of these things. And I remember then that I found this book in the library. Later on, I bought it and I started to research on YouTube. And there was like many options would come up, but most of them are like women who look like model with all this makeup on their face, all these designs. And it all looked like very sprayed, like very aesthetically, the filters of Snapchat, like it looked like that. And then suddenly I saw this woman that looked like just the average normal woman, like just average, but she made sense because I used to teach high school. I'm like, I have like this bullshit-o-meter, because when you work at high school with kids, you have like, because kids will come up with stories. So, you and I'm like, this is real. I just sensed, I said, this is real. And that's how I found out about Cricket Song of Lunar Wisdom. I started to watch all her videos, all her stuff. And that's how that was basically the education I got, so that I could write the novel in which the protagonist was a hereditary witch. So I wanted to tell you that before we start, thank you for being here in the show. And I mean, you need to know that in life, we have a lot of haters, people that, don't like us secretly. But the truth is that there are a lot of people who love you secretly as well, and that watches your show. And I'm one of them, and I'm really glad to have you here.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm happy to be here to talk to you today. Yeah.
I'm glad to have you here because I've got questions, things that, I sometimes I struggle with, and like, know that you're a high priestess, so you have to deal with a lot of things. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask you, pick your brain about a lot of stuff, and we're going to do it on camera. So that's going to be fun. Like to start off with, how did you spend yesterday's full moon?
Yesterday's full moon, to be honest, I actually was settling in because my husband and I had gone away to celebrate our anniversary, and we had just gotten back earlier in the week. I have some stuff brewing on my altar for the full during the to gain the energies of the full moon, but I didn't do ritual or anything like that this full moon.
Okay, neither did I. I just stayed inside, but just spent some time. Yes, I pulled some cards, so I did some divination, and in the morning and the evening, I just spent a couple of minutes just thanking the moon for all the blessings, but just in my mind, so just lying down in my bed, and I didn't even look at it. But
I live in Seattle, Washington, so it was raining yesterday. So you couldn't even see the moon yesterday, but that does not mean that the energies still were not available to be harnessed and utilized in a magical spell, which is what I did. But it was raining and you couldn't even see the moon last night. So,
Hi, bits of sunshine. Hi, sunshine. Thank you for being here. We've got here Lunar Wisdom in the house. If you don't know about her, I tell you, I mean, she's one of my friends of the Reiki group. I wasn't this morning in Reiki because like I said, today was like a very crazy day. But yes, thank you for being here, Sunshine. Yes, so what was I telling you? Yes, you were talking about the full moon.
Full moon, yeah.
Okay. I forgot, but I'm going to go to the next question.
Go ahead.
I remember that you had a show, and the show is about becoming rich. And I felt like I wanted to join, but I felt like no, I can't join because I'm not a witch. And later on, I saw another show with you, and where you said like you talked about the magical practitioner, and then I felt like yes, that I can call myself comfortably.
Mhm.
Um, and that's why I wanted to ask you about like if we look at the ancient wisdom from the West and from the East. So we look at like the Vikings, the Celts on the one side, and we look at Buddhism, Hinduism, Reiki, like the chakra, and it's like if you compare them, what do you think are like more this? What do these two spiritualities have more in common, in your opinion? And what are the things that you think are more different?
Honestly, I too am a Reiki practitioner. I'm a master teacher as well as a witch. I think when there's less differences than I think we believe there are. I really look at as all paths lead to the same peak. You know, all paths lead up the mountain to the same peak. So every stream or philosophy or even religion have basic truths in them. And I think every path that we look at, no matter where it originates from, holds the same truths. So whether you are witch, whether you are a magical practitioner, whether you are a Christian or a Buddhist or a Muslim or whatever, a Taoist, I think we all hold some basic truths. And I think that's the commonality. And honestly, I think magic is part of that. The energy of magic can be found. We just call it different things. But when we're looking at the life force that binds all living sentient beings as well as the natural world around us, that's magic. And we just use it and tap into it in different ways, depending on what spiritual path or religion we follow.
Okay, that's okay. That's I've noticed that because like for my book I had to study also the Oshun and the Nigerian and I noticed like if you look at the seven orishas and you compare to the seven archangels and you compare them, that's why I'm starting to think that there are some aliens or people from outside who gave us these things because they're too similar. Or when I look, if you look at the Sheila that the Irish people have, and you look at them and you compare them with the Atabey of the Taino Indians of in how do you call it, Caribbean. Like if you look at them, they're almost similar.
I mean, you can even tie those seven to the seven chakras within the body too. I mean, there are some if you do the banishing, the lesser banishing pentagram within high magic or witchcraft, they assign different aspects to the different archangels. So there's an overlap too, you know. I really think there are basic truths, like clearly seven. Seven is a sacred number for many different spiritual paths and religions. Why is that? Because it ties things together, you know.
Yes, it's 7 days of the week now. Like I'm getting like downloads. Like yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like and if you look at the pyramids, it's the same. Like if you look at the pyramids in Europe, like the East European, like the ones that you have in Kosovo, and you compare them to the pyramids of the Mayas or the one of the Egyptians, it's like they're like different brands of car. Like it's and it's too much of a coincidence. You see what I mean? So it's like if I build a Audi and you build a Citroen and the other person builds a Mercedes Benz, they look different, but the machinery is not very different. And I'm like, okay, so there is something that we translate depending on our culture scape,
right?
And that we adapt, and that we then, yes, makes lots of sense. And something that the first time I knew that I wanted to be a writer was when I read the book Mists of Avalon.
Oh, I love that book.
and it was like when I heard like horrible things about the writer, I was really sad. that book was like, whoa, you know. I read that book and I'm like, one day, God, I would want to be able to do something like this, you know. I was like 25, 26, and I'm like, okay, this is my idea of this is like, and when I started to read that novel, and I read 4 of them or 5, the more I read them, the more I miss Avalon. The more I yearn to Avalon. That's why I wrote a novel where I created my version of Avalon, because I miss it. And I'm wondering, do you think Avalon exists?
Literally, like in the novels? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I would like to think it does. And it exists for me, maybe not here in the physical, but definitely in the spiritual realm. Avalon exists for me. Oh, I'm getting emotional. Whenever I think of Avalon, anything that triggers that emotional response, there are songs that speak of Avalon. There are, the novels, and there are just like other TV shows and things like that. There is this yearning to return to it. So for me, somewhere Avalon is a reality. Yeah.
It's a thought form, at least. And because it's a thought form, somehow it exists in that way.
Exactly.
In the worst case scenario. Yeah. You're a high priestess, and I'm someone who, like, although, like, both of us, although we are not Christians, we live in a predominantly Christian world. And the Christendom has rules about how you have to stay in integrity, right?
Yes.
Okay. What I've struggled with a lot of times is that the reason why Christianity has been so successful and has been able to rule for so many years is because it's partially okay. There has been aggression and aggressive part, but a part of us resonates with it, because you cannot pull off something for 2,000 years without it resonating in one way or the other. But what I think is happened is that there has been like a mixture of lies and truths, and because of the cocktail, you still drink it. So it's like, if I gave you green and blue is the truth, and yellow is the light, you feel that because it resonates, because you cannot pull something off for so many years only on strength and compromise and so on. When you have to decide what is wisdom and what is manipulation of masses, how do you like, if you have to look at the Bible and you have to see, okay, I have to stay in integrity, that means that I have to behave in this and this and this way. How do you distinguish between manipulation and wisdom?
For me, it's very simple. It's so simple. Does this incite fear within me, or does it incite love? If it incites fear, then it's a lie. If it incites love, then it's a truth. And that's going to be different for each of us, because each of us have different life experiences in this life and previous incarnations. We have we grew up in different cultures. We had different parents or different siblings. We've just had different life experiences. So if you are reading something, or you're being told something, or you are experiencing something within your own spirituality, within your own religion, whatever that looks like, if it's inciting fear, if you're doing it because you're afraid, and you have to be honest with yourself, because sometimes fear is just a reaction to something we don't want to face within ourselves. But if you are afraid of someone or something outside of yourself hurting you, then I would say take a moment to examine that and ask questions about it before you just swallow it, because more likely than not, there's some lie in there. And, with Christianity, I've been Christian for many, many years. There was a lot of fear, guilt, manipulation in telling me to live my life in accordance to someone else dictating what I should and should not do. And a lot of times it was playing on shame, guilt, and fear. It wasn't allowing me to live my life authentically from a place of love a lot of times, you know.
But I understand what you're saying, but what I have, like my personal struggle is that, like, when my nephews come here, if they want to touch the electricity, I'm just telling them, don't touch that. Pow, 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 if you touch that. So they don't touch it because they're afraid of pow, pow. But the reason why I'm saying this is because to protect them. So and their kid, and like if we're in a bar together or in a restaurant and you want to eat 3 hamburgers, and I tell you, like, Sherry, I don't think it's a good idea to eat these 3 hamburgers. Maybe I'm doing it to control you, but maybe I'm just trying to avoid you getting into the toilet, you know, having diarrhea or getting sick or whatever. So it's like, do you see what I mean? So sometimes you scare people.
I definitely understand what you're saying.
Avoid greater good.
But you're controlling the situation, and you're controlling it out of fear. If in the example with your nephews, if you say that don't touch that and you explain why, I mean, I know it's easier and quicker to say you're going to get pow, 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 pow. I mean, I raised children years ago. They're grown now. And I understand that. And we are doing it out of love. But I would suggest, especially when you're an adult, you know, children, that's a different situation. But if you explain when you are, you know, Sherry, don't eat 3 hamburgers. I'm worried about your health. In the end, I'm an adult and I can do what I want, whether you tell me not to. And in that situation, you are controlling out of fear. Instead of saying, you know, it is your life. I'm concerned about you. I love you. I care about you. I would like you to be in my life. But in the end, it is that it's even your nephew's choice whether he's going to listen to you or not. If he's going to touch that light switch, there is nothing you can do to stop him. Even if you pow, 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 he still may want to touch that light switch, and he may still get the consequences of that. But that's his choice, because we are all individuals, even our children. They're individuals. You cannot force even a child to eat if they refuse to eat, you know.
About children, okay, like we have more wisdom than the child. We consider ourselves adults, but we are still children compared to some more evolved being.
We are.
Because we can only sense, like, even, I mean, a dog can hear more than us. There are animals who can see more in their spectrum. Our 5th senses so we're still children compared to others in one way or the other. And that's why I'm wondering, like, when do you know it's the strict, loving father that may be controlling but wants the best of you from you, and when you know there's malice in it? So how do you? I mean, I know that it's complicated, but I mean, you have control out of love and worry, and you have control out of manipulation and malice and trying to keep somebody, you know.
Love is not controlling. Love is not controlling. To go back to Christianity, to go back to the Bible, there is, I'm rusty with scripture, but there is a scripture, I think it's in Corinthians, that says God is love. It doesn't say God is like love. It doesn't say God is of love. It says God is love. God equals love. So love is divine, and divinity is not controlling. Divinity gives us freedom to experience these things. And it being in a human experience, in a physical reality, we will experience things that are uncomfortable to us and that are joyful for us. But it's my belief that that is why we are manifested in physical reality, so that we can experience suffering and love. And I think that when we're talking, I'm sorry, the truck is here. Excuse me. When we're experiencing true divinity, when we're experiencing being in the vibration of love, there is no control. We are controlling our choices. So that, again, it goes back to, if you're experiencing something that is inciting your fear or shame or your pain, even examine that and question why you are feeling this. And is this message, is this experience, is this whatever you're being told, are these words coming from a controlling source that is trying to incite fear and shame and guilt in you? Then I would question the validity of that message, experience, or whatever.
Okay.
And again, it's going to be different for each of us.
Yes.
So, and it's going to be different for each of us, not only because we're from different cultures or from different life experiences, but where we are in our own enlightenment and spiritual growth. Because if you have traveled through life and you've gone through, transformations within your own spiritual entity that you are, the you, the I, you may have accepted something at a different time that you no longer accept now because of what you've learned about yourself and about the nature of deity and the nature of the world and your purpose within it. So what might have been acceptable before may not be acceptable now, and what might be acceptable now may not have been acceptable for you before.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. Like I said, it's going to be always going to be a struggle, because
It is.
it's like, okay, what is culturescape? What is being in integrity? What is, maybe the Bible says that you don't have to do this, and we think, let's come with something very simple. It's very sex before marriage. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like, if you think, like, if I'm consenting, my husband's consenting, the man is consenting, what's wrong? I mean, why not? Huh? Maybe we think that we're doing fine, but maybe because we have sex with people, because of that, we have like soul ties, and and there are like consequences that we are not aware of, because we don't have the knowledge. Or I don't know how, but it's like there maybe there are things that we cannot see, and that, like, it's just like the parent mouse looking at the fall with the cheese, and the baby wanting to go for the cheese,
Mm-hmm.
and the father saying, "No, don't touch that cheese; it's a trap."
Mm-hmm.
It's and
So yeah, and
that's my headache, basically.
right. In that example, if the baby wants to go for the cheese, the father says no. And then in another scenario, the father says, don't do it. It's a trap. There's a difference between the two. One of them is the father is giving more understanding of why it is not good, as opposed to just saying, no, don't do that. In the example of sex before marriage, the Bible says no sex before marriage. If I'm consenting and he's consenting, why not? If then you're explaining, well, because then there's energetic ties that you may not want. There's unwanted pregnancies. Maybe you might get pregnant. What about socially transmitted diseases? There is okay. Oh, I see why you're suggesting I don't do it. In the end, that baby mouse may still go for the cheese. And in the end, you still may have premarital sex, and maybe it'll turn out okay, and maybe it won't. But you have made that decision, and you understand where the guidance is coming from and what is behind the guidance, other than just trying to control you, because there is a difference.
Yes. Thank you. I mean, it's like great guidance, because, like I said, these are like things that I'm on daily basis. I struggle with, and I really appreciate your input in this. Have you read The Outlander of Diana Gabaldon?
Have I read it?
or watch the
I read the first book, and I'm actually on the last season of Outlander. I'm on, I think I only have 3 episodes left. I'm watching it on Netflix. Yes. Oh my. It touches all the wonderful little spots in this reader of me. You know, it's amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm in totally.
We have the same taste, man. Like we've got the same. Like oh man, I hardly watch the TV, and I only have Netflix actually for that. You know, my husband and my daughter watch other things like the Tudors, and they love like the stories.
Oh, I love the Tudors. I watch the whole Tudors too. I love that stuff.
No, I don't worry about that, but she loves like. But I'm like, Outlander is like my number one. I love other series, but usually like I saw in you somewhere that you love Sabrina. I watch Sabrina too, but I love
Outlander is different caliber than Sabrina.
Yeah. What is your opinion? Because like later on, I wasn't aware of this, and later on I discovered like what we can call like extraterrestrial spirituality, and the opinion that the Anunnaki took the Homo erectus and make them like the Homo sapiens by manipulation and with their DNA and those kind of. There's a lot of theories lately about extraterrestrial life, and there are like many channels like Truth Can Change Your Life and those kind of channels where there are channeling Ashtar, the Galactic Federation. What is your what do you think about those kinds of teachings?
What do I think about the teachings?
Or the how do you have like an opinion about?
Okay. So I don't have a definite opinion one way or another. It changes from year to year, I guess. In general, I do believe that when people have encounters with what they might consider extraterrestrials, I believe there are light beings. And when we say light beings, I feel like that could incorporate many spiritual entities that we are unaware of. And I think aliens, for me, are in that category of light beings. You could even say dark beings. I'm just using it as a spiritual entity. How's that? That's better. A spiritual entity. And I don't know about the origin. I don't know either way whether, human beings were manipulated. I don't know. I do know that the ancient Egyptians had knowledge beyond what we think of when we think of ancient people. I think they have or had exceptional knowledge of things that would make no sense if we think of them as just stone chopping people. I think they were tapping into something greater, and that knowledge was lost somewhere along the way, and we're just now rediscovering and coming back into alignment with some of the teachings, like sacred geometry. They had an understanding of that. How did they have an understanding of that? If we are to
that's why I'm wondering if it's aliens, because that there are wormholes, because there always been like Baghdad, where Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden was, Iraq, Iran. There's always trouble there.
Yeah.
There's always some shit going on there. I don't know what, but there's always something there, and I think that it has to do with that it's a portal of something.
Yeah, I mean, we can even look at the Bible stories of the Tower of Babylon, that human beings, built this tower to reach God, and God was unhappy with their activities. So the Tower of Babel, and then there were different languages, and people didn't have the ability to come together to build such a magnificent tower again. I don't know if that's literal. but clearly there is something going on where human beings had knowledge beyond what it would have been thought of at that time that they would have had. So I think there's a correlation again. Again, like we said, there is truths in the many different spiritualities and cultures. There are basic truths that we all share. And I think that's part of that puzzle. So I do believe there is existence outside of Earth. We're not the only ones. We're not alone. Another one of my favorite movies is Stargate. I'm telling you, there's a reason why I love that movie more than the show. But the idea of, like you said, these ability to travel through time and space, because they're just human constructs anyway.
Yes, it's what we can see. All of the alien disclosure has been really coming out big time in the last couple of weeks. Even science is now saying they know of 56 species. Yes, I think like this month or next month, the official disclosure is supposed to be of the FBI and CIA and
well, I know here in the United States, a few weeks ago, I was watching the news and they talked about some sort of acknowledgement that there was some sort of unidentified craft or something. And that was seen going right down into the water or something like that, like from air, right, not slowing down and just going right into the water. And nobody's denying it. They're just not explaining what it is. So whether it's, technology that another country has, or whether it's not from Earth, clearly there is more going on than we, think or know.
So another question I have is, do you have any ideas about Antarctica? Do you think, like I said, Antarctica,
Antarctica?
Yeah. Because it's no man's land, nobody's allowed to go there. Of course, the weather is. There are a lot of theories about there being something going on there, and that it's like a portal to inner Earth. And what do you think about all these stories about inner Earth and Antarctica being a place to get into there and those kinds of things?
I don't know. I think I have a stronger belief that there is extraterrestrials beyond Earth than inside of the Earth. I don't know. For me, when I think of beings inside the Earth, I don't know. That just doesn't sit. Like, it doesn't feel like truth for me. But if you were to say they are discovered an alien civilization on, I don't know, some other planet out there, I'd be like, I knew it. That sounds more.
Yes, it's like it's the same way that I see it. I'm like, I'm not saying it's true,
right?
But I don't say it's a lie either.
Right.
I don't. I'm not going to say grabberish. That's lots. No, I'm like, it's possible. It's possible. I've watched Elizabeth Abel for a long time. She just said that she's got to be part of the documentary movie coming out in a couple of months that tells about aliens. I'm excited to see it. Yes, me as well. It's what is what do you consider to be magic and what do you consider to be science?
I think there's an overlap. I define magic the same, very similar to Aleister Crowley's definition of the art and science of manipulating the energies around and within you in order to deliberately create change in your life experience. And I think science overlaps that. I think, magic is part of science and science is part of magic. I don't think you can separate them. But I think magic takes the science and adds the spiritual aspect to it, where science tends to strip away the spiritual aspect and they only they believe what they can see. And magic is, I believe what I can see, but I also believe in what I can do. So I think that's just a subtle difference, but I think they definitely overlap.
Okay, I've never seen it, thought about it that way. I've always seen it as, but that's why it's great to connect and talk with other people to see like other perspectives. I've always thought that they were the same, that science and magic are the same, but when you can understand it, you call it science. Like if I give you now penicillin or a paracetamol, then it's science. If I go in the Middle Ages and I gave a paracetamol, then it's magic. So I always understood it like that they were similar, but that one is when it's mystery, and the other one is when one is when you understand it clearly, and the other one is when it's not clear. I always thought that was the difference.
I definitely see that. I definitely see that as a difference if you're talking about things that, we once didn't know that penicillin could cure whatever. But I still think energy and the belief and the will of the mind have something to do with it too. Because if you give penicillin to a person who does not want to get well, they're just ready to die. Say you have someone that's ready to die. Science is doing everything they can to help this person get over whatever it is, the ailment they have. But if that person's will is not in living, then every attempt we have to save them will fail. And I think that's the magic.
Yes. That's why I love talking to you and people that like are way more knowledgeable than me about, because then you like, yes, the one is more manipulation. You participate.
Yes.
More consciously, and the other one is like more you let the nature go his course.
Right.
You just yes.
Well, like Reiki. I mean, if we really bring it down to something we're very both familiar with.
Yes.
If you were doing Reiki for someone who isn't engaged and involved in the action, in the energy exchange, then it's there. If they don't believe that it's going to work, then don't even try. Because if they truly believe, ideally, if they're coming to you for Reiki, there's something in them that believes in it and that it's going to work and help them. But if they totally don't believe that it's going to work, it's not going to work. And I haven't met anybody who's strictly science-based that believes that Reiki is real. I have not met, yeah, sure, it'll help you. It's a placebo, but you really need to do X, Y, and Z if you want to get better. You can do that as an extra. But then I've seen individuals not have come to Reiki for me, but to the master teacher that attuned me, and they were cured. I tend not to try to use that because the disclaimer and everything, but their situation improved greatly with just the Reiki. Science would say it's a placebo, whatever, but there's truth in that, right?
Placebo just proves that it works, because the placebo is just saying that you're right, because the placebo is saying that your mind is the one that decides.
Right.
So then if somebody says it's just placebo, I'm like, I totally agree, because it's your mind. I mean, I've seen so many studies about people giving people wines or beers without alcohol and not telling them. And that people after 3-4, they're like all tired, they're like balancing, and they really feel they're drunk.
Right.
Although you can, they have zero alcohol. So yes, but the same goes with healing. If I believe that I'm going to heal,
I'm going to heal.
So the Reiki energy, what you're just doing is infusing this universal love into somebody, so that the person understands and cures itself.
That's right.
And cures herself. So what you're doing is just infusing love and belief, so that the person can do it him or herself. So yes, it is a placebo. I'm not. They're telling
But where's the proof? Where is the scientific proof that works?
That's why it's considered magic.
That's right.
And when we have machines that can quantify that, then we won't call it magic anymore. Then we will call it science.
Right. But
right?
well, I would still suggest that if it includes the person's own energetic belief and their own active participation in that, their conscious participation in that, then that's magic. Still, even if the science is the actual physical, medicine that they're being given. But I do think science and magic go hand in hand. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Let me see what bits of sunshine. As a Reiki master myself, the way I believe, it's not just about Reiki, but about any tool we use, are just that, tools. We are a vessel for those tools to be used. But ultimately, the person receiving the healing has been
willing to receive it. Exactly. They need to allow the channels within them to be open to receiving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's why, I do meditation. I've been meditating since I was 14 years old. But I will never say to you the meditation is a be-all. Why not? Because it depends on this. For me, I believe in the toolbox: meditation, messages, and magic. Meditations, we all know what it means. Messages is how you talk to yourself. So it's like affirmations, decrees, chanting. So that's for me is messages. And magic is okay. So all are other ways of, but I mean these are like the spiritual ways besides like the physical things like exercise and other things that you can do. And so it's like one tool out of the toolbox, definitely. And depending on the person, because like I said, there must be like a perfect fit. Reiki, you give it, the person will be able or will not be able to receive it, and will cure itself or not. But somebody else might need this, or like I said, I've been in situations that I've been like so stressed out that I couldn't meditate. I was getting panic attacks. I mean, I stormed out of a Zen place. I'm like, fuck this. I mean, these people, they're crazy. I need to go. I'm leaving it. They want me to sit because they're telling you, like in a Zen place, they're telling you have to sit and feel. I'm like, I'm not a fucking masochist. I'm out of here. Goodbye. I'm like, I leave all upset. Because they want me to sit and feel this thing that's destroying me. That's feeding off me. So I've been in a situation where I could not meditate myself out of the trouble. I needed to decree. So I had to go to the womb and yell, I am a being of Iron Fire, I am the purity goddess, I am, like yelling and yelling and yelling and yelling till I didn't have any voice left. I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to meditate. Or sometimes I need to go swim or run and get all this anxiety out of me and all this panic and all this. And when I'm so exhausted, now I'm open to receive, to meditate, so I can receive guidance. So there's not one thing that is the be all for every person and every situation. Right. And because I know it from myself, I assume that it's the same for other people as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I've probably been in a mind state that Reiki would not be able to help me, even though I'm a Reiki master. Although I'm a Reiki master, it doesn't happen very often, but it has happened, and now the last time was 6-7 years ago, because in the meantime I've evolved as well. But I mean, now I can deal with a lot more, but in the past there has been moments that couldn't help me because I'm in this state of despair that I could not receive it. I could not receive it. So that's why it's true. It's you must be in a state of mind. You must be able to receive it. So it's definitely the case. Okay. These were like my questions. I didn't have like more questions, but what I can do is tell me a little bit about more than about you and your website and what you do, because like these were my questions that what you've been up to and what you're going to do in the future, and so that the people that are watching that they can
They know who I am. Okay, so I'm Cricket Song, and my website is www.lunarwisdom.net. I am a pagan witch, meaning that I am not Christian, and I believe in more of a natural spirituality. I am a tarot oracle card reader, crystal ball, witches runes. I do all sort of intuitive readings. And I also offer mentorships within witchcraft. I recently released I have a YouTube channel. You can go look up Lunar Wisdom, and you can find so much content. I've been on YouTube for over a decade. But I recently published a book called Becoming Witch, Back to the Basics. It's written for individuals who had a witchcraft practice and for some reason went through some sort of transition in their personal life or their magical or spiritual life, and they've sort of stopped practicing witchcraft and they want to get back into the practice. This book is for you. I've also been told, though, that people just interested in witchcraft have gotten a lot of information from that as well. So take that for what it's worth. I didn't specifically write it for that audience, but if you're a beginner and you've read some stuff, this might be helpful.
And also, if you're a magical practitioner, because like I don't feel like I'm a witch. I don't feel like but I love witchy stuff. I love witchy stuff, but I would not consider myself a witch. I'm maybe a mystic.
A mystic?
Yes, or maybe a magical practitioner. Because I don't remember the lady you were talking to. Drew. Yes. Yes. With her, you were talking about that, and you were talking about the differences and like the like a law of attraction practitioner. I do believe in law. I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in creating your own reality. So I do believe in magic, but I don't feel like I'm a witch.
Yeah, and there is that video. It wasn't that long ago that I did that live with Drew. I do identify as witch, but I also identify as a magical practitioner. My witchcraft does include law of attraction. It includes everything that law of attraction encompasses. I am a channel. I have channeled in my past more frequently an entity named Syra, which then goes to that light being experience in the alien life. But I've had a lot of different things. I was raised Roman Catholic. I was a Methodist for a while. I was a Jehovah's Witness. Can I share with you the truth? And before I became Wiccan, I don't identify as specifically Wiccan, but I am a witch, meaning that I do practice witchcraft and magic. But my witchcraft, again, incorporates everything that I've experienced in life. You know, Mother Mary is a part of my witchcraft. You know, so I believe that our journeys through spirituality, through just life experiences, becomes a part of our spiritual self, whether it's religion or a spiritual practice. It all becomes part of whatever you are and who you are. And it's that sort of joins us all into the collective we, because we are I, but we are part of we, the unity of universal source, however you personify it or identify it in your life.
Is the reason why you're not Wiccan anymore, has it to do with the fact that Wicca only focuses on Western and you needed the Eastern knowledge, or is it something else?
It's something else. It's honestly, Wicca has a specific way of practicing, and it's not just faith, but it's what they do and how they do it. Wicca is very ritualistic. It takes a high magic as well as low magic or folk magic as opposed to high magic practice, and it sort of combines it. You know, Gerald Gardner created this way of worshiping the god and goddess and practicing magic. When I used to live in Massachusetts, and when I moved out here to Washington State, my life changed. Back in Massachusetts, the coven I was leading along with my husband, I was high priestess of the coven, my husband was high priest, the coven dissolved. And then I began really on my own personal journey. I sort of picked it back up because I was a solitary practitioner before the coven, became really the coven was a focus of my practice. And then I was able to then pick up my own personal practice, and it started changing. It started transforming. And the way that we did things within Wicca was not the way I was comfortable in doing them any longer. So big Wiccan rituals are not something I do anymore. Following the 8 Sabbats, the Wheel of the Year, I don't practice and honor each and every one anymore. And because I started pulling things away, that's when I realized, at some point, it just doesn't look like Wicca anymore. So then why am I hanging on to this label that really didn't fit my practice anymore? That's why I no longer identify as Wiccan.
Yes, the programming to do is strong. We are breaking all of it. Yes. It's, that's why like the novel I've written is the protagonist, like the villain is a Christian, and the protagonist, the goodie, is a witch. And I did it especially because of that, because we have like this demonizing, and I wanted to show you like the other side of the story. And yes, it's because if the esoteric makes you more independent, it makes you stronger, and like I've had like this rough week. I mean, if I had the week that I had last week without this knowledge, I would be like the whole day like, Saranax, I would be like completely. But because I practice meditation, because I practice this, I can stay calm and look at things, and so it makes you stronger psychologically, and that's why the rulers or the powers that be hate it so much.
Yeah, I think when you don't have the devil to blame shit on, to blame stuff on.
I love cursing. That's one of the things I miss, like, is somebody to curse with, because like, I'm a linguist. I have a master's in linguistics, and I know how cursing, like, how good it is, like it's good for your soul, but it's also, linguistically how it's fantastic. So please help yourself.
So when we don't have the devil to blame shit on, it makes us take responsibility for our own deeds and our own actions and our own behaviors. So even if we cause harm to another person, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, spiritual harm, we don't have an entity to blame it on. It's all you. And when we need to take responsibility for our own actions and behaviors, it's sometimes very difficult and challenging. And it makes you stronger. It makes you understand yourself more, your motives. You don't have the crutch of another thing to blame, to shift blame on anymore.
Bishop Sean Chan wants to say something.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Basically, what my turning point was was I'm married to my third husband, my final husband. My first marriage, we were married in a Catholic church, and when it was time for the divorce to happen, my first husband had finally acknowledged his own sexuality and realized that he married me because he wanted to fit in. It's not that he didn't love me, but he should have never married me. And when I went to the church and said, my husband is gay, and I need a divorce and I want an annulment so that I can remarry in the church, when I was told all the hoops I had to jump through, all the things I had to do, they wanted to interview my family and friends, and they needed proof that I tried my best to make my marriage work. That's when the relationship, which was weak to begin with, and I questioned that the beliefs and the teachings that the Roman Catholic Church was the right church and the only church, and everything else was of the devil. I didn't quite believe that, but that whole experience with the first marriage was the breaking point. And I said, there was going to be no priest who has never been married is going to tell me whether or not I did my best to make my marriage work to a gay man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That was the end. That's what made me turn away. And then I discovered that, well, there are other forms of Christianity. And that's when I looked into Methodist, being part of a Methodist church, which had a female minister. Well, that was new to me. And I was part of that church for a while, but still it just didn't sit right. When I kept questioning, well, why do we believe this? Why do we believe this? And the answer was always, you need to take it on faith. That was uncomfortable for me. So when I was approached by a Jehovah's Witness who said, this is what we believe and this is why we believe it. And I said, well, why do you believe it? They'd open the Bible and have a scripture. Well, I don't know about that. Well, what about this? Do you believe in this? Oh, this is why we believe it. Here's a scripture. Here's a scripture. It seemed at that time that they had the answers that the churches that I had belonged to didn't. But then certain life experiences and situations happened where that I realized was not the truth either. Yeah. Although, like I said, that's why I say that every religion and every path has strings of truth, because the Jehovah's Witnesses are the individuals that helped me understand at that point, I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in a place of forever torment and torture for the rest of your existence, that a loving God that is love would torture anyone forever.
That's why I do believe that what we call God, the one and only God, is probably like Enlil and like the Anunnaki. So that's why I believe that they're aliens, because they come from the heavens with a lot of thunderstorm, and they say that they're one and only one. And of course, for us, they were gods. Of course, they were gods because they were much better than us, and they could do things that we couldn't do. Just like I said, if I go with a HBO box to 500 years ago, I'm a big shot too there.
Right.
Because I'm going to say, oh, she has a fever. It's the evil spirit. Okay, here you have paracetamol. Oh, of course. So that's why I think that they probably thought they were gods, because they had science that we didn't have, and they used that and said, I am the one and only one. And that's how scripture was built, because people who have that know about this told me that the Elohim means gods, and that they translated that there were edits that that Constantine, King Constantine, did edits to the Bible. So there are things that are not that they took out, like the
Yes.
Book of Enoch, and a lot of stuff. So they took shit out,
Yeah.
and so there, it's like I said, it resonates because it has wisdom in it. If it was like a lot of rubbish,
Right.
it would not stick.
Right. Right.
It couldn't stick. But because it has wisdom in it, we feel attraction to the wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
and we get pulled by the other things around it.
And the Bible was copied over and over and over and over by monks who are just human beings who maybe they're tired one day, or maybe they couldn't read the previous page of what was written. So they figure, oh, that doesn't say this, it's this. And they put words in that actually were never there. And, you know, it just, yeah.
Yes, there have been some nice, serious thing. Nice between, okay. I understand all of that. I was raised in the Catholic Church, but I never resisted it at all, and got out when I became an adult. Yes,
resonated, not resisted. She said it's resonated, not resisted. Yeah.
Yeah, resonated. But it's logical because it's you don't want to upset family. I think church is more than just the belief. It's the community. It's the
ritual. It's the ritual too.
Yeah, it's the ritual. That's a kind of mental that's therapy. It's so much.
Well, the interesting thing I must share with you is that I was raised in the Catholic Church. I went to a Catholic high school. And after graduating, I was sure I wanted to be a nun. I kid you not, I wanted to be a nun. I was so spirituality, my relationship with the divine. I'm going to get upset here. My relationship with the divine has been so strong for my entire life that I had the calling. But the nun, I loved her, Sister Thomasina, suggested I spend some time with her. And I was teaching CCD to younger children at the time too. And really consider it before I really jump into it, because it's one thing to want to serve, and it's another thing to live that life. And, you know, I still was convinced I wanted to, but there was pressure to go to college. So I went to college. And in college is when I became familiar with a girl who was a Jew who lived across the hall from me in the dorm, someone who was a Muslim that lived in the dorm down the street. There was Protestants. There were all kinds of religious and non-religious beliefs there. I even met a girl who was Wiccan, who I didn't understand what that was at all. You worship the moon? What? You think the moon is an actual goddess? What are you, crazy? So I was able to experience ways of serving the divine in different ways. And that's when I realized, well, maybe there's more than just Roman Catholic. Maybe I can serve God in a different way. So there's always been this underlying desire to be part of a spiritual lifestyle.
I've got that too. I mean, that's why. I mean, it's like I remember that when I was watching or reading Mist of Avalon and all the other books. I mean, this hunger.
Yes,
I have this hunger that for a relationship with the divine, but like I said, the Christianity, it just doesn't resonate. I mean, if I had to choose between the three of the Abrahamic, I think Judaism is the only one I could stomach, but the other ones don't attract me. If there came a law saying that you need to have a religion, because if you don't have a religion, you're going to jail. If I had to, I wouldn't have a choice. My first choice would probably be like to be a Buddhist, and my second choice would probably be like Wiccan or or maybe working first, Buddhism second, because those are the ones that somewhat, you know, fit me. But this hunger, like I told you, like this hunger for Avalon is, it's there. It's there. It's something that's there in my stomach, underlying 24 days, 24 hours a day. It never leaves. It doesn't leave. It's there, and you go on with your life. You get married. You have a family. You pay bills. You do things, but that stays there. You know, it stays there, and
it is. Yeah.
it needs expression. It needs expression. It keeps crying, and like now. That's why, like my business, my normal business, is that I'm a tutor. I studied Spanish language and literature at the University of Amsterdam, and I'm a tutor, and that's how I pay the bills. And when I look at people that that can pay bills with their spirituality, I'm like, oh man, it's like, because I do this but the other one is standing there, and I decide, okay, like now I have a vacation, because like next week I have to tutor my last week, then the exams, it's like the Curacao SATs is going to be like 2-3 weeks. So then I'm going to have a time that there's not a lot of students, and I want to delve in again, and I want to rewrite my website and see what I can do, because this oh man, it's like, it's orgasmic.
Yes.
The connection with the divine,
yes,
it feels so much. It's so gratifying. And of course, I'm glad with my life, and I'm glad with my business. I'm glad I can teach people and make sure they go to college. And I'm happy. But that I feel you completely. I can imagine. Like, I know how that is. Not that that feeling. Seeing here, I have never seen it with a preacher lecturing me. To me, it's just not that. Yes, I mean, there's something about preachers that just gives me the like, I get it. It smells to me to sanctimonious crap. People telling you this and this and this, but they probably are not doing what they preach. I've got this, and maybe, and that's not the case with all of them, of course not. But I mean, there's this. I feel this underlying thing that is a turn off, and I don't even know why it's a turn off. I think it has to do with something that happened in a previous incarnation. I probably was a witch. I probably was burned at the stake. I don't know what happened to me. But somehow it turns me off. And I don't know why. But because I want to have an open mind, I'm like, okay, maybe, like, that's why I think, like, what's wisdom, what's manipulation,
Right.
Okay, we went way out of the hour, because I asked you like for an hour, and we're like over the hour. Thank you very much, Sherry. Sherry is the name of a cricket song. Thank you for being here on my show. It's like, for me, it's like a big deal, really.
It was a pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you, everybody who's been in the show. And thank you for all the people that watch later on. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it's of value for you. Bye, everybody. And to finish, like cricket song, I love you.
I do. I love you all.